Let's get started. Let's get started. Excuse me. Oops, a little too loud. I'm going to clear my throat so I don't want to overblow your ears. Overblow your ears? Blow out your ears. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. If I cut out, let me know. But there seems to be a lack of response typically whenever I do this. It doesn't matter. Today's shoulders. I'm going to get this done so I can get back to some work. But there's some interesting things in here. Let me do my spiel. My name is Miguel Coronado. I'm an illustrator. I live in Austin, Texas. My website's www.mciii.net. My goal for these next few months is to get some regular freelance work in the game publishing and maybe publishing industry, really anywhere, but illustration freelance work is what I'm trying to do. But we're doing these daily study groups. They're going through these past few days have been anatomy, and we're going to go through these and with a focus on different breakdowns of the body, how the body works. I'm using this book called Anatomy by Imagine Effects, and it features kind of Ron Lemon, his breakdown of the human body. After we get through the anatomy, I'm going to be focusing on composition and kind of going back into like composition and photo studies for a little bit to kind of get some material stuff down. But anyway, just a heads up. Composition for like 7 days. There'll be composition stuff's easy because it's like, I mean, easy as far as like practicing, because all you have to do is you can just use the 2 colors to kind of create composition. You don't actually have to render out a bunch of stuff. I do composition, exploration, and everything else. Anyway, let's get started. Shoulders. So there's this one diagram here, basically saying the shoulders move around the rib cage, and that's something that I like right off the bat was like kind of new for me to hear. I don't really think about how the body works, and I should. And so let me just draw the rib cage real quick, because I'm going to repeat this image. If this is our rib cage, this will be what I repeat. But anyway, so just a quick demonstration of not demonstration, I'm going to draw the diagram myself, but there's different positions. So oops. Okay. So roughly, in this case, the rib cage is going to be tilted a little forward. That's going to be the arms outstretched. And in the this other case, the rib cage is going to be tilted. Oops, wrong layer. In this other case, the rib cage will be tilted slightly back, and that's for like the arms pulled back behind the body. And then the first one will be the neutral position, which is well, it's neutral, but it's just standing, like not doing anything. Let me switch my colors up. Use purple. Okay, so basically, neutral position. I'm going to block out kind of the muscles and just quickly draw out what's going on here, and this is something to really consider. I mean, everything in here is something we really consider, but for me, like, I just got through drawing some dudes that are like profile to the they kind of profiled to the picture, well, not picture, to the viewer, and like this directly applies to what I just drew, so I might have to go back in and kind of fix things depending on what I'm doing. He's got the top of the shoulders drawn like a kind of like a cylinder. Just that cylinder transitions into the ramp that is the excuse me, trapezius. Pardon me. Hope I didn't. Oh, that wasn't too loud. This deltoid's broken into 3 shapes. 3 triangles, pretty much. And then from here we have the tricep and the back. Not in the back, sorry, but the tricep is on the back of the arm. Sorry, I didn't want to confuse anyone. Forearm. Elbow. I guess we haven't really done the lower forearm yet. The lower arm. This is the upper arm, so we gotta do the lower arm still. So the back of this deltoid creates a triangle that points back here, kind of wraps around the back, and then there's another triangle coming back around, which are like some of the muscles in the back, and then another triangle. Okay. And then this kind of goes up into the trapezius. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing them or not, but anyway, that shoulder muscle. It's like when people massage shoulders, that's the one they're massaging. And the pectorals, he kind of has like a slight division here, where like the fibers, the muscle fibers are. Actually, his go all the way to the front, so like they kind of stick off a little bit, slightly. And then the rib cage connects here, and you got like the stomach, but it kind of stops there. And then right here is 1, 2, 3, 4. But actually they're a little curved back, remember? So they kind of create a fan. These are the stratoris, I think, the muscle that's along the ribs. Stratoris, whatever. Just forget it. Let's just stop. Let's just not do this anymore. I'm just gonna go with dogs the rest of my life. Okay, well anyway, that's what we're focusing here on, this area, on the upper arm and the shoulder. So in a stationary position, I think everyone's kind of drawn someone like this at one point, and if you haven't, you should. It's just someone standing, profile. It's just kind of chilling. This muscle here is a little bigger and it goes further down. And that connects into this forearm muscle. Okay. So now we're going to take a quick look at the outstretched arm. So the rib cage is already kind of positioned forward, and the actual deltoids are going to be right here. Like the top of the deltoid is right here, stretched across, and like it's actually a little more the way it's drawn out. It actually goes just where the neck starts, just about there. It's not exact, but like, and I'm sure it would differ depending on how in shape or not in shape someone is, or the character you're drawing, or whatever. But and these are pretty much like little leaf shapes. They're like triangular diamond shapes. The taper. But basically what it's demonstrating is that the shoulder, the scapula on the back, it's pulled forward in a way depending on how the arms are positioned. So when you're drawing a character with the arms outstretched, you need to really think about this, especially if it's in a profile, or if it's like at a 3/4 or something, because the shoulders like extend past the rib cage. And they extend past the rib cage and kind of change up the relationship, or like the relationship of where the arm starts changes kind of drastically. I mean, like it went from the deltoid down and back to up and forward, and it's so far forward that it's almost past the neck. That's how drastic it is. And like, I'm sure that this kind of like flexing, it occurs when people are like working out, or if they're doing something super energetic, or maybe even if they're just yawning, and when you're really stretching your arms out, you know, in the morning, there's this flexing happens. Anyway, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this drawn out. Like, I've never taken the time to really draw out like the body in several positions like this, and study how far the muscles move. But this is like an immediate, like, something I just never considered. Trying to just make sure I place the muscles correctly. Oops, wrong color. Okay. Here is the tricep. And this extends very far past here. Anyway, so that movement, that forward movement, is like the biggest thing to take note on. Because even like, if you're ever trying to get an animation and like you've got to like create cartoon characters, or like just create like a stylized character, this would help your believability in the character's movement, knowing that the shoulders come this far forward, like the actual shoulder blades on the back move from their original position to this new position. That would like greatly impact the movement and dynamic of your character. And then as far as the illustration goes, posing the character, making him look really dynamic and really like flexed, you would need to know that there is a movement that occurs from The scapula is being pulled forward, I believe. Let me read it and make sure I'm saying the right thing. Even if I'm not saying the right thing, the visuals are still true. The visuals of the shoulder moving forward across the rib cage. The shoulder has quite a bit of movement around the rib cage. Here you see the positions of the arm. Yes, the scapula, I believe, is what's being moved. The scapula is being moved by the muscles, and in turn, that whole system of the arm is moved across, like around the rib cage. Anyway, if you were watching me earlier this morning, thank you for joining me. I was drawing some goblins. It was kind of like a warm-up sketch, where it kind of kept going with it. I gotta go back and actually I have to go back and actually like design the characters because I just kind of started drawing. But I like the composition that I had. So in this case, with the arms back, the shoulders are going to go so far back that the top of the deltoid is going to be kind of lining up. The front of the deltoid will be kind of lining up with the back of the neck. So it goes all the way from the back of the deltoid lining up with the front of the neck to the kind of top and front of the deltoid lining up with the back of the neck. So it's got a full range of motion from front to back. It's got quite a bit of give. And then in this case, when we extend back, everyone's kind of, I think most guys have done this at some point, and they're either working out or just to pose. But when you extend your arms back, you're stretching the pectoral muscles. So like if you're ever working out and you're laying down on the bench and you have your arms back and outward, kind of like wings out to your sides, you'll work out the pectoral muscle because in order to put your arms back up above your head, you have to stretch this part right here. Anyway, that's just if you've never worked out before, you know what I'm talking about. But like lifted weights, not just worked out. Anyway, so there are these 4 muscles here that are very prominent. One, remember they create like a fan shape. 3, 4. They create a fan shape and they're attached to the ribs. I think that's the stratoris. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but anyway. The stratoris muscle. This muscle back here is kind of like a cylinder. The trapezius up here is like a cylinder. He's kind of drawing the top of the deltoid almost more like a flat surface. But we kind of know that's round. But to simplify it, from the center of the deltoid, there's a muscle that divides the bicep from the tricep. Anyway, so that range of movement. I'm just trying something out real quick. It's nothing to do with the study, really. You're gonna have to do this. One, two, three. I don't know if it works. You can kind of see the animation kind of created. Anyway, I just playing around. From neutral to back to forward, neutral, back, neutral, forward, neutral, back, neutral, forward. Anyway, you kind of create a little animation. Anyway, sorry. Back to the work. Back to the study. I gotta reposition these things. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of create. We're almost gonna go about the same thing we just covered, but we're going to do it kind of in a forward and backwards instead of side to side. So I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to draw the rib cage and repeat it first. Did I not have it? Okay, hold on. Okay. Just going to draw the rib cage. Really simplified. Okay. Hold on, I can't see the chat. I'll go back to it real quick. I'll go back to the chat real quick. I was going to copy this real quick. Oops. You're setting up a framework to work from, and that way they're all kind of the same. Let me look at the chat. Jungle Pants. Yes. I'm doing the Imagine Effects book for now, but I mean, I'll do other books later. It's just this one kind of came out, or like they re-released it. Well, what happened was I had a meeting with a client in Barnes & Noble, and then I saw the book, and it was the day we were supposed to do anatomy, and I was like, oh, I'll use this book, and then that's what happened. Yeah, it's a cool story. I know. Let's make it disgusting. Disgustingly green. Look at the Joker. Okay. So this first one, we're going to have the I'm just going to draw out. Why isn't it doing it? There we go. I'm going to draw out the shoulders. Okay. If that's a scapula, Let's try and mimic that without copying and pasting. At least you don't have to. You can copy and paste if you want. I'm just trying to. That's close enough. Anyway. This is the arms, these are the arms at rest. So, if the neck's here, if the neck is here, and the arms are down here, just resting to the sides. He portrays them like little tubes, so. Okay. Now this, did I draw them correctly? I kind of didn't space them out right. So, So the top of the scapula should kind of line up with the edge of the rib cage on the top. So I'm going to just kind of hash them out to the side a little bit more. That makes more sense now, because I was having a hard time kind of fitting the arm in when I drew the tubes to the sides. It didn't really have much space to actually put the arms. Okay, so like, see how there's a little point? The way we're simplifying the shape, that point should line up with the top of the rib cage, and then it gives us a good guide to work from. Just clean it up just a little bit. It won't look perfect, but you'll see kind of where I messed up or whatever. 'Tis the study. And then this goes into top of the shoulders, kind of overlap into the scapula. And then he's got like a slight, like he's shaded it a little bit to kind of show you some volume. So like, and that'll come in handy in this next one I'm drawing. So the top of the scapula again, it starts here, this like point. This one's going to kind of stay where the other one was. It's going to kind of just stay right there. But this one's going to be, this is going to be like if you ever stood with your arms to your sides and then you stuck one arm directly behind you for some reason. That's kind of what I'm going to be drawing. So the scapula will come in and it will create a crease in the rest of the flesh and the other muscle. And this muscle will bunch up, and then the scapula will be basically pinching back there. This is another one of those, like if you ever use, like if you do pull-ups, when you pull your body up, at a certain point your shoulder blades pinch because you start pushing your arms back a bit. But it's kind of more like if you do if you ever on those machines that have like the cords and they run up and they have those like weighted plates and you kind of pull the bar down from above, that pinching. Or if you're in one of those machines and you're kind of pulling the cords away from you, towards you, whenever you go backwards, your shoulder blades will pinch together. And anyway. And what he's got is the arm. He drew it in to show like the fact that the arm's going to be going backwards behind you. And he's got another little muscle group here that's being defined. So, okay. There's this curve, which we'll call A. This is B. And then the last one is C. It's basically saying that line A of the first rib cage represents the... Okay, I'm sorry. This is the second rib cage for y'all. Line A represents the rhomboid and trapezius muscles bunched up between the spine and the spine of the scapula. Line B represents the crease under the scapula that follows the serratus muscles. And so that follows the serratus muscles, which are the muscles that are on the side. Those four, we've been drawing them like this. There's like four muscles along the rib cage, but they fan, so I kind of drew them wrong. Anyway. And then line C follows around halfway between the shoulder muscles perpendicularly. So line C right here, it should be halfway between the shoulder muscles. So if this is half, and C would intersect at that halfway point. It's a little confusing, but if you follow it along, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then, when the arm is forward, when it's drawn forward, the scapula will be around the rib cage, and it'll be so far around the rib cage that it's going to kind of like, it looks like it's almost on the edge, because the original position, remember, will be like he drew the shoulder differently. So I paused real quick because he drew, I don't know if this is on purpose, so I'm going to draw it this way. He drew this scapula slightly lower right here. That might be just, just something he did just by an accident. Just he did it, or I don't know. It doesn't say anything about this shoulder blade being lower when the other one is extended, but it kind of makes sense. I don't know about that. That might just be off. I'm not going to do that. Let's just draw it where we had it before. Just because I don't want to like make it look like this. Yeah, if I stick my arm forward, my shoulder stays in its place. So this is probably just off from the drawing. We're going to keep drawing it right here where it was for the resting position. Okay. So this, in this case, the shoulder blade is going to move so far forward and around that you're going to see it almost kind of hit the edge of the rib cage. So you can kind of start seeing how it works. So it rests, and then it pinches backwards, and it slides around. So if we're doing like, if we looked above somebody, there's this. I got a better idea. If we looked above somebody, there would be this shoulder blade here, the scapula. And then here's the arm, right? The bone with the deltoid. When someone extends their arm forward, that would rotate around, and when they extend their arm backwards, it would pinch. Forward, pinch. Y'all see what's going on? Like, hey, I'm putting my hand out. Then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, put your hands back. That's kind of what's going on. Anyway, so all these drawings I just did were to show that motion from a side view. So if you didn't exactly know what was going on just now, that's what we're talking about. There's some more stuff on the shoulders that he wrote out, but I'm not gonna go over everything, just because I wanna. There's only certain. I mean, I don't want to read the whole book out because I feel like that's like. It would be like pirating the book to just read it out all loud. Just gonna run through it online. Okay. Here's a more in-depth. A more in-depth breakdown. So okay, I'm gonna jump over to this part where I'm gonna draw like the bones and then the muscles and how they wrap, because this is something that'll standing out to me. Oops. Okay. Sorry, I'm answering a text message. I'm drinking coffee. Okay, let's just start. Photoshop, stop it. Okay, so here, I guess I'll draw the scapula first. So there's like a scapula, and I'm gonna build off this one drawing instead of doing multiple. I want to kind of build on top of this. This is a simplified version of it too. It's not the actual like curvature of the bone or anything. Okay. There's this thing. I don't really know what this thing is. This is just part of the scapula. It comes out like here. Or maybe it's just, I don't know what that is. Might be a tendon. I don't know that to be a muscle. Unless I'm looking at the front. No, I'm looking at the back. So yeah, I don't know what the hell that is. But anyway, I'm drawing it. It's not really labeled. And it's shaded right here to show you that this thing is slightly above. Okay. And then the bone. The bone goes down. And there's a muscle. Well, let me just make a new layer. So these muscles would be in red. kind of like a maroonish red, whatever, maybe just a red. There's a muscle that goes here and connects, and it wraps around like it's like a little hooks around right here. Okay, this muscle it's visible whenever your arm swings outward. It's visible when your arm swings outward, like kind of pops out whenever you stick your if you're drawing and you have your pencil down on like the Wacom or a piece of paper, if you just rotate from your shoulder out, maybe it's out, swing out. Okay, sorry. Okay, so these muscles, the muscles I'm drawing right now, they rotate. They rotate your arm. So like, let me do another overhead. So if that's your rib cage, and that's your arm, and you're drawing with your arm, I gotta do a new layer for it to work. If you're drawing with your arm, these muscles allow your arm to swing outward. That's not right. That's what I just did. Sorry. Here. Like this. These are the muscles that allow your arm to go out, to the side, and in. Out, in. So the next two muscles I'm drawing create this motion. Okay? And those are the teres major, teres minor. So one wraps from the shoulder to around the outside, and the other one starts lower, and it wraps under, like it crisscross. And then this one comes around, right here. Okay. So those crisscross and they create that rotating motion of the arm. And then there's a few other groups on here. These help pull the arm up. The supraspinatus helps pull the arm up. The infraspinatus stabilizes and rotates the upper arm. And now here's something. This is not in the book, but or it might be in the book. I'm just not reading it like that. If you didn't know this, I'll tell you right now. Muscles in the human body can only pull. They can't push. It's impossible for like a muscle to push. So everything you do is a series of pulls. One thing pulling something else. So for every muscle that does one direction of movement, there's another muscle that pulls the opposite direction. So you're never like, it's always a series of pulling. It's never a push. Anyway, if you didn't know that, that's just a fact of the human body. That there is no muscle that pushes. It's all a series of like rubber bands. That's all it is. It's always pulling, and it's always like elastic. Okay? So this muscle on top, the supraspinatus, this helps pull your arm up. And this one pulls it back down and stabilizes it. So like if you try and stay stiff like at attention, like a soldier, this muscle tenses up and it fights against your arm swaying back and forth, and these muscles also. So if I duplicate this layer, just quickly demonstrate, I do the same thing on, just kind of looks helpful. I think this is helpful. The two muscles on the top create this motion. The two muscles on the top create this motion. Up and down. Up, down. So one pulls and your arm goes up, the other pulls and it goes back down, and then like, that's how it works. Anyway. And I already did the rotation thing, so I'm not going to do that again. Yeah. Cool. So that's how those are working, right? In terms of what those muscles look like on the back, it's from drawing the shoulder. Those muscles, they just appear like masses together. They don't look like, you don't draw them out like those tendons, not tendons, you don't draw them out like those bands. They're just like the creases in skin when you actually, and if it's a really muscular guy, they become cylinders. So if that's the back, this group here with these lines, those are the muscles that we just drew out, and then the muscle that the muscle that lifts the arm is right here. This muscle, whoa. This muscle is this muscle. You see how it's underneath this other structure? So it's underneath the trapezius. Like if you're trying to think of like how it looks, on top of these muscles, on top of these two muscles, the deltoid will rest. It kind of wraps around the top. So, but they're viewable on the back. They're not as prominent from the arm because the deltoid covers it and the trapezius covers it from the front, so you don't really see those. But in terms of how they're going to be viewed, like when you're drawing a person, there's a little clump of muscles right here, right near the arm. 1, 2, 3. It's like a 1, 2, 3, and then this top one right here, which isn't really the top because right here is the trapezius. Anyway, keep going. Oh wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. A quarter-inch of volume, if not more, needs to be added to the muscle mass. Excuse me. A quarter-inch of the volume, if not more, needs to be added to the muscle mass. What I'm talking about is fleshing out, literally fleshing out your figure. But basically, there's a little note here that just says, remember, everything we're drawing in this book, and for y'all following along online, everything we're drawing is like a skinless person. Like, I'm not drawing really in shape people. I'm drawing people that have no flesh. So everyone has that kind of, underneath your body, there's an amount of muscle definition that everyone has. It's just like a mandatory amount of muscle definition, because it's the actual mass of the muscles. And then on top of that layer of muscle is where the fat and the skin are. And so beyond what we're drawing, like this guy I drew up here who looks real muscular, I mean, this is the same underskeleton for like a really obese person. And if they're a really skinny person, then the muscles are smaller and like they're less voluminous. But just saying, remember to put the skin on people. The skin is a cover. Saying the skin is a cover, and that the skin will crease like a blanket draped across some kind of machine. The muscle fibers go one way, the skin creases perpendicular to them. When the muscle fibers go one way, the skin creases perpendicular to them. This occurs everywhere in the body. More important than memorizing the muscles is knowing when to draw them. If the body's at rest, the muscles aren't going to look flexed. They're not going to be as defined. And yeah, they're not going to be as defined. I'm trying to do the bicep. Brack and bicep. Brachialis. Brachialis. Okay, so well, I'm sorry, I'm reading. Okay, so here's something. Okay, earlier when I drew this arm, I said that there was a earlier when I drew this arm here, I said that there was a muscle that's in the middle that divides the tricep and the bicep. That's called the brachialis, and it's basically the way it works. If we're gonna draw like from the front, this is the front view of an arm, so it's different from the other one we just drew. Okay, so if this is the arm bone, there is a muscle called the brachialis, the brac for short. And the way they work are they start up here, and they're like parallel to each other, and they hug each other, like they're like right next to each other. One's right here, goes this way, one goes the other way. And then so together these two little groups are called the coracobrachialis. They're basically a muscle group that's underneath the they're a muscle group that's underneath the bicep. And then they're that little line that people draw whenever they're drawing a really strong, huge dude. So you got these two muscles, right? And then on top of those, you have the bicep, which is like much more voluminous, much more voluminous than these muscles. Maybe that was a really crappy color to pick, the blue on blue. The bicep is there, but the bicep, I mean, technically, I kind of did that wrong. Let me just redraw it. I'll pick another color. Go back to this purple. The bicep starts up here, and it's also like two tightly packed cylinders that kind of taper. Okay. Sorry if my CMYK, my almost CMYK body parts are confusing you. And you've got these other muscles here. And then the deltoid's right here. The deltoid like wraps around this whole thing and it goes like in. And then right here on the side is the tricep. You'll kind of see it from the side just slightly, and you'll see it come back out the other side. And remember, the pectoral muscle goes into the arm and wraps around the arm bone itself. So when we're layering the muscles, you don't really see it from the front view, like the way you see it on the way you see it on a side view. But that line I was talking about earlier is let me make sure I pronounce right. Coracobrachialis. So if it's like a side view of the arm, here's the bicep. Here's that coracobrachialis. It kind of just peeks out from underneath the bicep. And then a deltoid. The deltoid's like two shapes together. Remember, from the side it looks like three, but since we're drawing it from the front view, you're only going to see the two. And then the triceps are like they're the big counterweight to the biceps. Like they're going to pull against the bicep to do the opposite of what the biceps do. So, and the pectoral muscles branch out from the arm. Tres major. Oh yeah, there's that one muscle this one. So when we're drawing the front view, you'll see that muscle, because that's the muscle that rotates the arm, remember? And then your lats. and the serratus, the lats and the serratus. So the serratus would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to kind of reposition what I just drew. If that's the serratus, oops, god dang it, wrong color. This is the pectoral. The teres major. And then the lats are like, they're further down right here. You see how we just built out that part of the rib cage? Like you can kind of see that part of the person right now. And then this would be where the trapezius is. And the collarbone's right here. You see how we just kind of built it out? Anyway. And there's this other muscle, it's like another tube right here that comes out from the tricep. That's part of the tricep. So these two cylinders, those are the same muscle, like the same muscle group, I guess. They're both part of the tricep. And then the that coracobrachialis, or whatever, that goes all the way out to past the bicep. And then we've got these like tendons that wrap around the opposite side of the bone. You see that? These are the tendons. They'll wrap all the way around the outside of the lower arm. Okay. And then, the flexors here. That's a kind of, that gap's too big. Hold on. It's a little tighter than that. It's not as stretched out. Yeah, so it's not as this goes out to the other side of the arm, but that gap isn't as big as I drew it at first. That kind of creates a little S curve, and then the arm, like the elbow would stop here. The triceps attached to the elbow. That's more like it. The elbow comes out. That brachial muscle. Okay, and then from here, that's where you continue the upper arm that way. So we see how we layered it together, and so now if you're ever looking at someone that's flexing their arm and you see that little muscle, it's like a small tube kind of shape. That's just another pair of muscles underneath the bicep that's basically doing the same thing the bicep's doing. It's just pulling the bicep, they're both kind of pulling together. You got like 4 little muscles that are doing that motion, and it makes sense because there's guys I've seen at the gym that they're lifting like 65-pound weights or heavier. You've got like a small, tight packed group of muscles there that's able to lift a lot. I mean, that's why once they build up even stronger. I mean, you see those guys that are at the gym that have they come in, they grab the 65-pound weights and they just use them like they're 20-pound weights. They're just sitting there pumping them. There's 4 muscles that are there working together, right on top of each other. and there's like a... You can't... Okay, sorry, I'm flexing my arm to kind of feel how everything's working. Is this on every day? Yeah, I come on every day for an hour and do a study. We're part of the daily study group, part of Crimson Daggers, and CJ Marsh, he's another guy that's doing the study group with me. So me or CJ or I will be on the study group doing basically just doing an hour live stream study every day. Forever. I mean, there's no time limit. We're just doing it as a general, like a good practice. The reason we're live streaming it is because it's that should send. Did it not send? Oh, there it goes. Okay. The reason we're live streaming it is it kind of like allows people to join in and participate, and it also lets us feel like we're kind of in a classroom. Not a classroom, like we're all just kind of sitting in a group of, like, we're virtually sitting in a room together doing a study for like an hour. So, and then if for some reason I miss the study group, he's going to do it, or vice versa. Like the other day he had to work, and he couldn't get around to doing it, so I was still on. So one of the two of us is always doing the study group every day. And normally it's both of us. So I'll go on at one point, he'll go on at another point. And the reason we're live streaming them is so that people that don't have, like, I don't have a schedule that's kind of the same every day, and it'll change in about a week actually. I'm going to start doing the study group every morning at the same time. But I'll announce that later. But the reason we're doing the live stream is that it allows us to kind of work with our own schedule, and we don't have to feel obligated to be on at a certain time. We could just do it whenever, and it's on for other people to follow along with. Anyway. Let me check the time. I think I'm past, and I'm only saying that because I gotta. Yeah, it's an hour. I gotta do other work, but I'm gonna go back, and we're gonna go back on the shoulders tomorrow, and then we're gonna move on to forearms. But the shoulders and the upper arm was today's focus. Anyway, I learned a lot, I think, this time. Like, I think I learned a lot more about the arms I didn't realize. That coracobrachialis, what is it? This muscle here, that like line that it's between the tricep and the bicep. I've drawn that on several occasions. I've drawn that, and I really just kind of drew it, not knowing what it is. I just knew that it was there until like I had to draw it. You know, like if you're drawing like a really muscular dude or something, like that shows up. Or if it's like a not so muscular dude but the arms are really, really flexed, that shows up. So I knew of that. I really didn't know what it was. But now that I understand how it works, it makes a lot more sense. And yeah. So anyway, just doing a study every day. That's the main thing. Basically the biggest focus is that there's always, everyone has at least an hour they could put in to study. So once we're done with the studies, we're posting them up on we're posting them up on that forum thread, and we've been doing anatomy for the past week, but I'm going to be doing composition this next week. the lesson plans are just, they're coming from my personal desire to study certain things and CJ's personal, like, we just so happened that we both wanted to really focus on anatomy this week, but I'm going to jump into composition this next 7 days. And I'm trying to do like constructive anatomy, so I'm trying to learn like how things work so that I can kind of put characters together without having to use reference for like poses. But I'm always going to use reference for lighting, I think, because the lighting, it's always so different. Like, there's certain occasions where the lighting just doesn't make sense, but that's just how it is. We'll go back into composition study and what do you call it? Composition study and that thing that's not composition study. Some like material studies. Yeah, that's it. Material studies. So anyway, I'm gonna post this up on the Crimson Daggers forum under partners and daily group dailies. CJ is going through the Michael Hampton book, which I want to go through myself later. Oops, didn't mean to show that off. You gotta be careful on live stream. You can't just like have, I think you can't have nudity like on live stream. So like, you gotta be careful. Leg 11, 12. Okay, yeah. Yeah, just making sure I'm labeling it the right way. So yeah, every day do a study for an hour, at the very least an hour. Sometimes like the other day I only had 40 minutes to do it because I kind of was doing other stuff. But yeah, that's the big thing. I think I mentioned this before, but if you're living somewhere and you're trying to do this I mean like concept art or illustration, you should find people that are in your area that are trying to do the same thing, and then meet up with them. It's at least one day a week you should try and meet up with other illustrators in person, or concept artists. I guess concept illustrator would be the term I'm using. But yeah, that's like a must. If there is people in your area, you should find them and meet them. Tonight in Austin is the sketch night. Every Wednesday night, like, there's actually 2 different groups that meet up. And actually, I need to send someone some information. But anyway, so that's something like, it's like a motivator. Like, it gets you out of the house, it gets you talking with other people that are just interested in the same thing you're interested in, as far as like what they're dedicating their life to, kind of thing, you know. Anyway, cool. I'm gonna post this in the forum, and then I'm probably gonna take a quick break, and maybe not a quick break. I'll be on again later, but basically, I'll be streaming later today is all I'm trying to say. I'm losing my train of thought because I'm trying to post this at the same time. And I'll upload these, all the videos are uploaded to YouTube, so if you ever can't find them in the archive, it's on YouTube. Just, my username on YouTube is Mike086. Mike086. I don't think this is small enough. yeah, that's hour every day. Hour every day. That's the must. I'm just making y'all wait for this. I should probably stop streaming. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll stop streaming. But yeah, there's more videos on the YouTube channel. I went through last night. There's actually if you go to my archive on my live stream, last night I scrolled through my sketchbook on for the past couple of years. I was talking to some people last night, and they're asking about when I started drawing, like taking it real seriously. And you can find my threads on conceptart.org and Crimson Daggers. When I started my sketches, I don't really post up as many sketches on there anymore. I post on Facebook a lot, and I post finished pieces on like DeviantArt and CG Hub. But anyway, cool. Oops, don't want to show that. Can't show that on the live stream. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna play music. I'm gonna end the stream, and then I'll be back on later. Probably gonna take a quick break from drawing and go exercise actually. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Let me try and find the Procaster. Switching some music on as a little outro because that's what I do. I do outros. Thanks again.